Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am Screen Scene Guru. Today is Christmas, so celebration time for all of us around the world. Hope you're having a very Merry Christmas. I did want to talk about new television shows dropping. I'm also going to be doing a book review at the very beginning of the video, so check out that. So without further ado, let's get started. First topic I wanted to go into is I've been reading the Timothy Zahn trilogy of books. I'm on book 2, Dark Force Rising, and I've already made it to chapter 22, so really awesome stuff. There's only about 29 chapters in the book, so I'm almost done with it. Really awesome read, guys. Highly recommend if you're into Star Wars lore and are into the expanded universe stuff. Very good stuff to check out. So let me go into this chapter real quick. 2 chapters, I think. It might have been since I last did a video. Really interesting stuff here. We got to see Mara Jade was captured by Thrawn, Grand Admiral Thrawn, and his task force. They made a bargain, a deal with Mara Jade to bring him Karad, her pirate consortiate, or her friend, comrade, and that she was supposed to have 8 days to basically round him up and convince him to basically give himself up to the Empire. Well, they put a tracking device on her ship, and they tracked her back to the sector where they were hideout, and they captured Karad that day. They didn't give him any time to waste, which made her very unhappy. But of course, that is the typical, Empire thing to do, to put a tracking device on a ship and to track them back. So of course, Grand Admiral Thrawn gave Mara Jade a choice. She could either be a loyal hand to the new Empire, or basically be a pawn thrown away to the Dark Jedi. And she wanted to, preserve her own life, so she chose to work for Thrawn. That was just a ruse, so she could get access to the ship. She still had control terminal access codes from before the time of the Emperor's death. So she was able to log into their systems and figure out where Karad's being held. And then she took a ship and dipped to Jarmok, which is the planet where the Dark Jedi is and Luke Skywalker currently. So very interesting stuff. Whip out my lightsaber real quick. I don't know how well you guys can see my dim lights, but you can't really see that well, but here you go. Really cool stuff going on over in Jarmok. There's a little city in a somewhat of a island city, similar to Last Jedi, where there's a group of people living kind of under persecution of the Dark Jedi Chewbacca. And then of course when Luke comes around, he tries to show a better way of, giving these people trials and things like that. It does seem interesting, the things that the Jedi Master wants Luke to focus on. Some of the, petty land disputes of property, trade, animals, so different things like that. But apparently Luke wants them to, tell their stories and to be heard, where Chewbacca says, "You're wasting your time, precious Jedi time on them. You should be reading their minds, and you should be figuring out what the issue is and how to resolve it basically quicker." So that's very interesting stuff going on in the book right now. Mara Jade showed up on the planet to get the help of Master, or not Master yet, but Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker. And then of course she had rocks thrown at her ship by the Dark Jedi. She was able to land. She met R2 and the X-Wing, and now they have teamed up. Luke and her are going back to the Chimera, which is the flagship of Grand Admiral Thrawn. They're supposed to sneak in and somehow escape with Karad. So very interesting stuff happening in the book. Highly recommend you guys checking out some of the legends, the lore, because it is pretty fun to read about. Going on from there real quick. I'll pull my lightsaber up. add some lighting. Okay, cool. So, going into some movie notes real quick, guys. Lots happened in the last few days since I did my last video. I'd very much appreciate it if you guys give a like, comment down below what you think about the news. What do you think about the new hat? I got a Knight's hat for Christmas. Very much like the Odyssey. Pretty cool. And it can actually come down, if I didn't have my glasses on. And it could be a scarf or a bit of a mask. But pretty cool stuff there for the holiday season. Back down more in the back and less in the front. But going into my movie notes, I talked about the It slate, an It slate for Welcome to Derry coming out, which was very interesting. You know, with they had Andy Muschietti and also Stephen King himself was out for the red carpet at HBO, which was interesting because they're doing these similar small-time projects revealed, like how Lanterns had a big trailer premiere with this slate of 2026 stuff on Max, but apparently they had a private screening also for people working on the show, similar to Knight of the Seven Kingdoms had a private screening of the first 2 episodes, so really fun stuff there. Yeah, they did it behind the scenes. They released a clip showing the making of Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, getting people really excited about it. They did confirm that Sir Dunk the Tall, the main character in the series, is a direct ancestor to Brienne of Tarth in the Game of Thrones series. So, really cool connection there. You know, a lot of people were speculating because they're so tall, they must be related. And I wasn't exactly sure if they would confirm that or not from the books, but they did in this little sizzle teaser. Rotten Tomatoes score for this week, guys. We got big releases coming out. We had Zootopia 2 was killing it at the box office. Globally, worldwide, we had 2 sequel films that killed it. We had Nijai 2 and Zootopia 2, which were really doing well. We also had Avatar 3, Fire and Ash, made $88 million in its first 2 weeks, which is pretty good. David, the musical, religious musical from Angel Studios, that was able to make $22 million, so it was able to hold its own. And then The Housemaid was able to make $19 million, despite its, you know, controversial stuff going on with Sydney Sweeney. Still able to make good money. Have a little bit of news real quick on global updates. We had an announcement from the White House that President Trump wished everyone a happy Christmas, and that he disclosed that he's confirmed the making of a new class of battleship, a Trump class Golden Fleet, which is very interesting to hear about. We just recently watched here at my house Battleship from 2014, 2015, and they mentioned Trump in the movie, which was very interesting. They should have made a sequel to that, if you ask me, because it does hold up. I recently watched the Dave Chappelle special on Netflix, and I thought it was really good. Fantastic work from comedian Dave Chappelle. This is probably like his 5th or 6th special on Netflix, but as he said, now he's just waiting for the Arabs to call. So I hope they don't get taken down and canceled for that. Talking about some more tragic news recently, guys, that happened. I did a video about Rob Reiner last time, and now we heard the story about Vincezampella. I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right, but the first-person shooter creator of the Call of Duty games has unfortunately, tragically passed at 60. He wasn't even that old. He was in his young man in a fatal, tragic car accident, which was recorded live for some reason. I think it was like a stunt gone wrong. Talking talk about test screenings of Supergirl, and the fans are saying the script needs a little bit of work, needs a bit of tweakage. They don't recognize the main villain, which is concerning because that harkens back to what DC had going wrong with the last creatives with it. You know, the people at AT&T and Zack Snyder, they didn't have a good foundation for villains either. So that's very concerning. Physical media sales are up, way up, which is really good news to hear. I've even got some physical media talk to talk real quick, but before I do, I'll go into the charts. So the WB, Warner Brothers label, a lot of people were concerned about, you know, the ownership, Netflix owning it in the next few years. And a lot of people were basically wondering if they would still be in the physical media market. Well, they have now confirmed for the next 12 to 24 months, so basically 2026 is assured into 2027, that they will be releasing discs, different titles, but they're going to be through different labels. They still have Warner Archive is a thing, thanks to the really smart people there at Warner Brothers. You know, the trying to think of his name. Oh geez, I thought of it earlier, but they're releasing titles such as, you know, I recently picked up Time Bandits, which was really cool, from the 1980s. It's a Criterion Collection disc. So these boutique labels, Shout Factory, let's see, is still going to be in the business of making Blu-rays and 4Ks. In addition to Warner Bros. Discovery licensing Arrow videos out, and the Criterion Collection, which can be available at usually the Barnes & Noble store, has a pretty good deal with Criterion. And then of course Arrow Video and Shout Factory are online websites. You have to go look at them yourself, but they're all being made through a label in Korea, which is very interesting. South Korea, just so we have that on the charts. South Korean label company is printing the discs and then shipping them to the US for these other labels to sell. So it's pretty good to see, you know, these other countries stepping up, because of course they do care about physical media. Before, we had a plant in Mexico City printing discs, and that was the only one. And then I believe something happened with that. And now we've got Koreans making discs. So thank you very much, Korea. But yeah, very interesting stuff going on there. Let me talk about real quick my pickup, because I recently went to my local Barnes & Noble and I was able to get my copy of Time Bandits, which was pretty dope. Talks about it on the back of the film. It was a Blu-ray pickup, and I'd never seen the movie before. It's been recommended to me several times. I'll show you what the inside of the looks like. And then of course it does come with a really dope star map, of course, from the film, which you can unfold. And you could even put it in a frame if you wanted to. It's like an atlas chart. Very nice. If you flattened it out and put it in a frame, you know, this way you can kind of see it a little bit better. And it has words on the back. It talks about the film, as well as most of these things do. So really awesome swag these movies come with. So yeah, really cool stuff there. I think that's the other way. Try to get to fold the right way. Tricky. There you go. Path of least resistance. Alright. Cool. But it's basically about a boy who discovers his closet is a portal through space and time. Very interesting plot for this movie. So if you're into the sci-fi, space adventure, this is a Terry Gilliam movie. And it was also made by the same people that did Monty Python. So if you're very much into that similar humor, you know, dwarves traveling through time and space to, rip off people. Pretty good concept. They're actually making a TV series at Amazon MGM with Laura Dern in the lead. So I'm looking forward to the TV series. But going into some more things I got real quick, I did get some cool socks, which socks are always a good thing to get. Tall X-Men 97 socks, which I didn't even know they had available, but I'll show them off real quick. Rogue, which is really cool. I'm wearing the Wolverine socks right now, so I believe they give you 6 pairs. Cyclops, which is pretty cool. Storm, really good design. The detail in these are really awesome. And then of course we got Magneto, which I had the Magneto helmet, if you guys have watched the channel before. Perfect matching socks. And then, interesting choice, they gave us Gambit socks, which, the character died in season 1, but that is really cool. The design is sick. But yeah, X-Men 97, can't wait for season 2. I'm supposed to be dropping sometime in 2026, I think, or 2027. But I'm not exactly sure. We're also supposed to be getting that Vision Quest series at some point. Talking about the Avengers Doomsday teaser, because they dropped the teaser online officially, the Chris Evans one. So a lot of people are like, that's interesting. We're waiting for the Thor clip with him praying to Odin to return to his love, his child. And then on Jeff Snyder's podcast, The Hot Mic with John Roca, shout out to The Hot Mic, they talked about a 3rd and potentially 4th teaser in the upcoming weeks of Avatar Fire and Ash playing. You have to see that movie, see the teaser before it's leaked online. But we're apparently going to be getting X-Men teased. And then eventually the Fantastic Four in Wakanda. So some really interesting news drops. And that would kind of match with the behind-the-scenes set photos we've been seeing of some of the Thunderbolts mixing up with the Fantastic Four. And they're in a big craft, like the craft the Fantastic Four show up in. So that's very interesting. J.J. Abrams apparently has finished his Ghostrider film with Glenn Powell. We don't know when the movie will be released, because right now Glenn Powell is kind of going through a weird, growing pains as an actor. He started out really strong in Top Gun Maverick, but then everything he's been in since hasn't done well. So he was just in this football show where he changed his face, and I'm not exactly sure. It's the name of the character. I don't even know. It's on Hulu, and it finished. They're going to do a season 2, I think. And then he was just in Running Man. And Running Man is a Stephen King book. I'm surprised that it didn't do well. It's probably one of the Stephen King products that didn't do that well this year. When there was, It Welcome to Derry, there was at least 4 or 5 products. I bought, personally, The Long Walk. And then I didn't get Life of Chuck. And I didn't get, they came out with another one, which I was excited about, but I just hadn't got it in my collection yet. I can't think of which one it was. But very interesting stuff with Glenn Powell going on, so I'm not sure when they're going to release this movie. But I'm a big Ghostrider fan, so I would like to see it, Paramount Pictures is still fighting to get a bid over on Netflix buying Warner Brothers. They're still throwing a bunch of money at them, but so far WB hasn't, showed any sign of interest to Paramount. So it's really tough for them. drjacquevallee talked on the Weaponized podcast for Christmas, guys. If you are following Jeremy Corbell, George Knapp, UAP stuff, we got to see an OG legend show up on the show. He's been on there before, but it's really cool to see him back on there. Avatar The Last Airbender turns 20 years old. 20. Which is insane to think about. But, in 2026, it's going to be 21 years old. And we're getting season 2 live action from Netflix. It's funny that Paramount is claiming they're the home of the Avatar products, but Netflix is still making them live action. So they clearly aren't. And it's sad news to hear that Paramount pulled the live action, or sorry, it was going to be animated, the Legend of Aang Avatar film. It was going to be in theaters, but now they're saying it's only going to be on their streaming service. I think that might be because they're pissed at Netflix having it already. So that's very concerning news. Pluribus season 1 ended. It wrapped. And a lot of people are speculating, are they going to do season 2? Due to the numbers from Nielsen and the charts, I would say yeah, they're probably going to do another season. And then we've got Star Trek updates real quick for Strange New Worlds season. I believe they're on season 4 or 5. This is going to be the final season, but they're adding talent, which is always a good sign. They're casting for Thomas Jane, who a lot of us probably know from Stephen King's The Mist, with the crash out ending, very shocking. And he's been in other things too, but I mostly remember him from that. He's supposedly going to play Dr. McCoy, which is very interesting stuff. And then we've got this Kai McCurry as Sulu, a young Sulu casted, which basically fills in all the slots of the original series, because they've been doing that in Strange New Worlds, building up to Kirk's time. So that's really fun, cool to see. They've got casting announcements, but that'll probably do it for my news portion of the show, guys. Real quick, I do want to show off 2 more things before I leave. I was able to fortunately get a Galactus Funko Pop, which is amazing. I was a big fan of the movie when it came out, because these are themed, if you guys look on the back, like the Fantastic Four movie. I don't know how well you can see with the light, but I might try to turn the light down a bit. I don't know how well you can see the Mr. Fantastic, Mrs. Invisible, Human Torch, The Thing. They had Doom, which that was a pretty cool Funko Pop, even though Doom wasn't in the movie until the post-credit. They had Mole Man, Silver Surfer, Herbie, Galactus, and then a Super Skrull, which that's kind of too bad the Super Skrulls didn't make it in the Fantastic Four movie. They made a Funko Pop of them. They're an iconic comic book moment. But yeah, I'm wondering where I should put this, just because I've already got so much stuff on my shelves. But a new Funko Pop, which is really cool. I mean, I've heard recently that they're losing money, actually, because they're probably pricing these things too cheap. And there's whole sets that these things get. There's tiny Funko Pops that they go in a house, you go in a box, and then there's regular size giant ones. So it's too bad to hear they're a really cool product that I think are a lot of fun. But going back to one more product, which is really like multiple, I want to show off what a sick box set that my niece got me. This is the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit, all 4 books, which comes in this really cool cardboard little cutout box. But they show off little designs for it, and then show off all the books. So cool. Which I've been wanting to add this to my collection for a while, because obviously big Lord of the Rings fan. I'm actually watched Lord of the Rings when I was a kid, and then sort of grew up on The Hobbit. So The Hobbit is really good source material for me. I mean, growing up right around the movies coming out, I know a lot of people were kind of upset that the movies were turned into a trilogy, because originally it was supposed to be 2 films. So that's interesting. But I liked them, even though a lot of people talk about that last one, Battle of 5 Armies, is basically all 3rd act, which it was. And I didn't like that the dwarves all died. But check out this, Fellowship of the Ring. This is OG. I mean, it's kind of, part 1 is kind of whatever, but the cost, design of the books, really awesome. Even with the Tolkien logo on the back. I think I might get that as my next tattoo. A little Tolkien logo, which is pretty cool. Put this first one back real quick. Let's set down these ones. And got that new fresh book smell. If you guys know what I'm talking about, it's really nothing quite like it. Two towers, which interesting design. The blue. And so much detail to that. That would be a really cool design for a tattoo also. All these would be. Put this one back real quick. Fellowship. Really awesome. The door. Dwarvish door. Which we saw get made in Rings of Power. And they confirmed Season 3 has wrapped for Rings of Power. It's going to be coming out sometime. 2026. Probably around the time of Comic-Con, right? Life Tree. I guess that's Gondor, right? The Tree of Gondor. But yeah, really cool stuff. What do you guys think of all the news coming out? And I'll probably be making a video for Stranger Things pretty soon as well. If I can get creases. Fight you. Yeah, cool. Awesome. Alrighty guys, that'll do it for my video. Be sure to like the video, comment down below what your thoughts are on the news, you know, Fallout Season 2 dropping, other things happening in television media, new Stranger Things. That's why I got the shirt on. But yeah, have a good one and Merry Christmas. Bye bye.